Welcome to Ninon Speaks. I'm Ninon de Rosa. I'm the host of this Ninon Speaks, this new adventure we're actually going into. Ninon Speaks used to be a very private thing. It was a one-on-one where I would help people. They would call me, they would visit me. I've been doing it for years. And now we have a co-host. AJ is my co-host. She is amazing. And she is actually the one that instrumentally got us onto Zoom. And we thought it was a very good idea. So here we are. So AJ, I'm going to pass it on to you so you can introduce our guest today, because she's an amazing woman.
Yes.
You go for it.
Thank you so much. And for that wonderful introduction, where we have April March, the First Lady of Burlesque. This is her book, and you can get it on her Facebook. Just message her on Facebook, April March. It's a wonderful book. And I do want to mention, just real quick, Grant Filippo, that's a picture of him and April there. He does a wonderful.
Oh, fabulous.
He does a wonderful introduction in the book. It's an easy read. It's a beautiful.
Take the book to the side. It covers your face.
Yeah,
Take it to the side. You got to put it to the side. But you can't see it there, can you?
We can't see it. So if I do it here, you can see it. You're absolutely.
I can see it, and I can see both of you. I don't want to lose you. I don't want to know. Where's April March? April, where are you?
Well, here she comes. Welcome, April March. She's in the building.
Is she in the building? I don't see her yet. Yeah, I see something coming up. Oh my goodness. Look at this woman. You look better than I interviewed you on the last time. Holy shoot. You're getting younger, not older. April, how are you?
I'm fine. How are you, Ninon?
I'm absolutely wonderful. Your sounds good, actually.
That's great.
Yes.
I went to Walmart and got a little microphone today.
Oh, wonderful. Oh, good for you. I didn't know they all just Walmart, they sell everything, don't they?
Yeah, well, this, I don't know what kind this is.
Next thing we know, Walmart will be selling husbands. You can get a dozen of them. They're cheaper than one.
Exactly.
Like eggs. You know, you break them open and you fry them, and that's the end of them.
That's it.
Anyway, first things first, April, I would like to personally thank you for the book you sent me. Absolutely amazing, your life and what you've done and how you've done it, the tenacity, and you've actually never given up. You've kind of always gone through, and that is actually part of life, is not listening to other people that don't want you to get on. Listen to the people that want to help you and get you on. And so I admire you tremendously. April, how old were you when you started this venture?
16, not quite 17.
Not quite 17. Now that means you were actually underage.
Yes, I was underage, and to join the American Guild of Variety Artists, because you had to have a union card back in the 50s when I got in it. And I think I gave my age as 19.
Well, did they not ask for a driver's license?
I think you only had to be 18 at the time, and I figured go one more year.
Won't matter, because then you've had the experience, right?
Yes, yes.
Now,
well,
did you not have to have some ID or a driver's license or something to prove your age?
No, nobody asked me back then for any
cool.
of that. And the only thing is, when I in Dallas, when Barney Weinstein, that put me into show business, took me to the union headquarters to get my union card, the man in charge was a man named Vincent Lee, and he said, so what makes you think that you're qualified to get a union card and be a performer? And I said, I'm a dancer. He said, well, if you're a dancer, he said, can you do a back bend? Well, I did a back bend, a perfect back bend.
Wow.
Good for you.
So anyway, I got my union card.
So you had to prove to them in those days of the actual doing the act.
Yes, yes.
So when you first got into this business at 17, what was it? I mean, did you know what you were going to do? Did you know that you were going to be a burlesque dancer, or were you just going in as a dancer?
No, I knew because when I met Barney Weinstein in Oklahoma City, is when I was a cigarette flower girl at the Derby nightclub. He gave me his card, and he said, if I ever wanted to get into burlesque, to come to Dallas, and he would put me into show business. And that's when I told him that, I could never take my clothes off And he said, well, we'll see. He said, just keep the card. So I kept the card and I went to Dallas.
So good for you, but he kind of checked you out, didn't he?
Oh, he checked me. He thought I was on the show. And I said, oh, no. I said, who, me? I said, no. I said, I just would never. I said, these women are beautiful and they dress beautifully and everything, but I could never take my clothes off.
Now, those were the days, if I remember rightly, those were the days when they used to have the cigarette girls and they had this big tray in front of them, if I remember rightly.
Around the
neck.
Yes.
And then they had cigarettes and their little lights and things flashing and candy and cigarettes and cigars and anything you kind of wanted. And they also had those in the cinemas. Remember in the theaters, they had those with the ice cream. On the interviews, you could buy ice cream. And they were very popular.
I know. It's
so that was one of your first jobs. So from there, from walking around with this tray, you are now here.
Yes.
Now we want to know what happened in between all this, because it seems to be quite a story. So who was this man that gave you the card?
Oh, they gave me the car?
The card.
The card. That was Barney Weinstein. He owned a club in Dallas, Texas called the Theater Lounge.
Yeah.
And his brother Abe Weinstein owned a club, a beautiful supper club in downtown Dallas called the Colony Club. And at the same time that Barney put me into burlesque, Abe put Candy Bar into burlesque. And I met Candy Bar. We weren't close friends, but we were, like when we saw one another, we were friendly to each other.
You'd acknowledge each other, but you both did the same thing, right?
Yes. And
now, when you first went on the stage for your very first performance, I mean, your knees must have been knocking. Your heart must have.
Oh my goodness! The girls stood behind the curtains, telling me what to take off. But I think I danced a whole 5 minutes before I took one glove off. And at the time, I used to bite my fingernails. Yeah. So I had the girls backstage had glued on fake fingernails. So anyway, unbeknownst to me, the cast from Guys and Dolls was sitting right at the table to the left of, there was the theater lounge. Well, it was like a runway.
Yes.
And I was on the runway and there was a large table, a table of quite a few people, and they were all from Guys and Dolls, which I found out later.
Wow.
And anyway, when I took the first glove off, off popped a fingernail and dropped into the drink of Slapsy Maxie Rosenblum, who was in Guys and Dolls. I think he was a championship fighter at one time.
So you went ping.
I went ping, and so did that fingernail go ping. And I was so embarrassed. I didn't know what to do. Well, let me tell you, that was the end of the fake fingernails after that. But
stop biting your nails. That's what you had to do.
The show was over. Now I'm completely like, I didn't know what the hell to do. But the girl said, keep dancing, take something off. So after my show was over, I got invited to the table, and that's when I found out it was a cast from Guys and Dolls.
How wonderful. And were they impressed with your performance? Did they? I mean, obviously they're not going to say.
They were very good friends. In the 2 weeks that they were there doing their show, we would gather and go downtown every morning for breakfast after I got off work.
How wonderful. Did they offer you a job in Guys and Dolls? Because that's a lot of dancing and everything, isn't it?
No, but I turned down like a lot of offers, like for Broadway and everything.
Why?
Well, by that time I liked burlesque. And I didn't feel as though I really wanted to go on Broadway. I wanted to be a movie star. And Barney kept saying, well, you never know, April. So in later years, like in the 60s, I was performing. I went in for a 2-week starring engagement in Tucson, Arizona at a club called Talk of the Town. And Ishka Bibble from the old Kay Kaiser show
Okay.
was the master of ceremonies. And here I was. I mean, he was a big star, and I went in as the star. Well, when one night there was 3 people in the audience, and they saw my show, and they asked the waitress to invite me over for a drink. Well, I wasn't 21, and the 2 sisters that owned the club knew that and said, you know, you'll have to drink Coca-Cola, April. So I went over to the table, and I met a gentleman called Hoot Gibson and
Okay.
Wally Maddox that I didn't know who Hoot Gibson was.
You didn't know who anybody was actually, right?
No, you're right. And I didn't know that Wally Maddox.
Did you have an agent ever?
Yes, I always had agents.
And did your agent get you this meeting, or did you get it?
Yes, I signed contracts, and I would go, you know, and fulfill a contract. But I always had an agent.
Yeah.
And so anyway, I met these people, and this elderly woman that was backing Adlai Stevenson for president at the time.
Yeah, sure, yeah.
She had a lot of money. But anyway, I sat there and I drank my Coca-Cola until it was time to go back for another show. And Wally Maddox handed me his card, and he said that they were filming a Western film, and that he would like for me to be in it, and he would like for me the next day to come and sign a contract.
When that happened to you, April, when you were given that card and you were actually asked to go into a movie, which is what originally you wanted to be as a movie star, how did you feel? Did you feel, wow, I'm making it?
Well, I thought that the man was just, I didn't know who in the hell he was. So I went back to the dressing room, and Ishka Bibble told me, I was telling him, I said, you know, there's this phony person out there that gave me a card. I showed him the card, and he had known anyway who was out there. He said, April. He said, that's Wally Maddox. He owns Allied Artists. And he says, Hoot Gibson is a famous cowboy movie star. And I says, oh my God. Well, anyway, I didn't go to sign the contract.
Why?
Because I didn't want to be in a Western. I didn't like Westerns at the time. So,
do you regret that, or did you regret that?
Well, yes, but then years after that, a few years after that, I turned down a contract with Columbia Studios, and that I regret doing because they were going to send me to school. And I got that through an agent in San Francisco that was Tony Martin, the singer, his brother. And I didn't know that Tony Martin was his brother, and he didn't know I was in burlesque because I called up the most lucrative number in the telephone book that I could find, you know, that sounded really, like this must be a really hotshot agent. So I called and I made an appointment with the secretary. She didn't, I just said I was a dancer in from Oklahoma City.
And you didn't give your name?
I gave her my name, but she didn't think anything of it, of April March.
And you thought, thanks a lot.
Hal Morris was his name, the agent, and that was Tony Martin's brother. I walked in the office and I saw this big, huge portrait of Tony Martin, you know, on the wall. And then I'm looking at all these famous singers, Peggy Lee and this one and that one. And I said, I think I'm in the wrong place. And I went and I looked at the number on the door and I said, no, this is it. So I walked up to the secretary's desk and I told her who I was. And she said, oh, yes, Miss March. She said, Mr. Morris will be ready in just a moment for you. You can go in.
How amazing. Now, were you, I mean, this was something you truly didn't know who or what or why or when. Right. And so you were going strictly on, all right, the guy wants to see me, fine. I want to get in the movies. He wants me in the movies, so I'm going to go for it. Is this not the time when Marilyn Monroe was around a lot?
Yes.
Because I'm looking at you, and you and Marilyn Monroe, I mean, you've got very similar looking hair.
Yes.
Yeah. I mean, but she also did a lot of risque. She also did a lot of photographs that were rather, at that time, very risque. And she didn't sort of mind either. I mean, she
No.
never really showed anything, but she gave that impression. And you were kind of the same sort of way, right?
Yes. Well, when I met Mr. Morris, he he said, "What do you do, Miss March?" And I said, "I'm in burlesque." And he says, "Oh," he says, I don't book burlesque." And I said, "Well, I realize that now." But he said, "You're beautiful." He said, "You know, I know a club owner in San Francisco that owns the Club Irisher." He says, "Are you looking for work?" And I said, "Well, I'm visiting my mother out here, but," I said, "I'd like a week or two's work." Yes. So he called up the fella at the Irisher, and he told him about me. And anyway, I got a job, and I worked there. And in the meantime, I worked a club date for Mr. Morris. And the club date lead, he wanted to call a friend of his at Columbia Studios. And he says, "How would you like to be in the movies?" And I said, "Oh, that's what I've always wanted."
You want to do, that's your thing, that's your goal.
But then when I had the opportunity to do so, I turned it down. I thought, I'm having more fun traveling around and meeting people, and I love burlesque. I said, I think I'm going to stick with burlesque, because I said, if I go to Hollywood, I heard all about all those casting directors and the casting couches, and
Yeah.
I said, I'm better off right where I am. So
let me ask you a question. Let's just back up a little bit. What made you so different out there? There's a lot of pretty girls out there, a lot of young girls, a lot of stuff going on out there. What did you do in your burlesque as a dancer, and as you come out onto the stage, the curtains open up and you start to perform? What did you do that was so different that caught the eye of so many people?
I have no clue, other than I've always been ladylike on stage.
Well, AJ, what are you saying? AJ?
We say that it is April's heart. Her heart is so much different. It's very special. She's a VIP. And by the way, you look gorgeous, April. Thank you today. Thank you so much for your time today. We love you very, very much. That's a gorgeous poster that you have there. I want to ask you, there's a song about you from, I believe, a Burlesque Hall of Fame. And did Grant Filippo, did he write that for you? It's phenomenal. It's fabulous.
No, Grant choreographed an act for me with 6 boys. And Grant says that he knows a gentleman that's a very good friend of his in Coeur d'Alene, Idaho, which I used to live with my grandparents for a few years. And he says his name is Nick Thorpe, and he does all the music for the Disney studios. Wow. And he gave Nick a call, and Nick said, and he explained to Nick, you know, the act and what I wanted to do. And Nick Thorpe said he'd be more than happy to help me out. So he took the music from Chicago, the
Roxy, right? Roxy.
Yeah, the Roxy Hart song. And he had a group of singers that he took to his studio in LA, and they re-recorded the Roxy Hart song and just put April March in place of Roxy Hart. So, and it was his singers doing it, and it only cost me, he only charged me $200, and that was to pay for the singer's time to go into the studio.
So this became your personal song. This was your song. You would use this song coming out on stage and performing?
No, I would use it. I have a big 12-foot poster of the cover, like the cover of my book, and I would come from behind the poster, and the 6 boys would walk me around. I came out to You Stepped Out of a Dream.
Yeah.
And then from You Stepped Out of a Dream, then it went into the April March song.
How fabulous.
And the people, the first time I did it in Vegas, the people, I got a standing ovation even when the music started. And the first
now,
time.
How old, April, how old were you at this time now? Because it seems a lot have happened.
2 years ago.
Well,
So I was 83 years old.
Are you 85?
Yes, 85 and a half.
85 and a half.
My birthday.
I'm not going to tell you how old I am, but you are amazing. Oh my God. And you're still performing.
Yes, still performing, and I can't have any facelifts or anything done because I had open heart surgery and I have a titanium aortic valve and I'm on Coumadin for life. So no facelifts for me, darn
No,
it.
nothing. Well, you don't need a facelift anyway. You look absolutely amazing.
Well, maybe I will in 10 years.
You know, out of all this, you know, you're looking back and you've written this book.
Yes.
And if I understand rightly, April March wants this to be a movie. So
Yes.
we want to actually get the word out there.
The book.
The burlesque, and it's going to be a show all about the burlesque, all about who do you have in mind to play your part as the young one coming out?
Geez, I never thought about it, but
Do it. I'll do it, April.
yeah, okay. Well, you're pretty enough.
She's lovely, isn't she?
I don't know.
So you haven't anybody in mind yet, but you want this to be a full-length movie?
Well, I would like it to be because a documentary should have been out on me several years ago. 8 years ago, a filmmaker followed me around, came to my home for 5 years. He filmed. Wow. And the name of the film is supposed to be Becoming April March. And as I said before, Tribeca Film Studio, the film company, they wanted me to have the movie out for the Tribeca Film Festival in 2016. But the filmmaker didn't have it ready. And I guess he still doesn't have it ready.
So does he have the rights to that, or is it yours? It should be yours.
He has the sole rights.
Oh.
Another stupid thing I did.
No, you haven't done anything stupid, because now you're going to forget that. You're now going to make a movie.
Everybody said that has read the book, and even the publisher, they said, geez, I should write another book and I should have this one made into a film.
Yes.
This one, like I think the second one I would talk more about show business, but this one I tell about me.
I was going to say, now what I've read, it sounds all about when you started out, and now when your mother and father found out about what you were doing, what happened? I mean, were they?
Well, my grandparents raised me, as my mother and my father were divorced when I was 4 years old. Okay. So I lived off and on with my mother, but mostly my grandparents raised me, and so they knew nothing about burlesque, and
that probably was a good thing.
Yeah, that's I guess a good thing. I told them I was going away to tap dance when I went to
sure.
Well, I did do my second job. Barney got me an agent, and I was booked into Maton's Melody Lane in Houston, Texas, as the star of the show. But I had to do 2 acts, one legit and one burlesque. So I did my tap dance number for T for two.
T for two, yeah.
In my roller skating costume. And
so that was one you could show all your friends. And do you have any brothers and sisters?
I have one half sister that lives in California. Yes.
Oh, are you still in touch with her?
Haven't been in touch with her in several years.
Yeah. So, you want to do this movie. Where do you live in? Where? You live in New York?
I live in upstate New York.
Upstate New York. So you really don't really mind where this movie is made, but you would definitely like it to be made, right?
I would like something out.
Something happened.
Being as a documentary doesn't seem to be getting anywhere.
No, that's not getting anywhere. So we're going to forget that. So let's talk about the movie.
Go on with the charge on with the movie.
Yeah. So I think what we need to do is we need to get this. We're going to publicize this interview. We're going to be putting it out on the media. And I want to make sure that anybody out there has a winner with this burlesque film, because I think it would be something that we all need. It's not violence, it's not guns, it's dancing, it's having fun, and it's actually your life from the beginning, and you're still doing it at 85. And I think, you know, putting all that together, I think it would make an incredible movie. Incredible. And
even with the 8 marriages.
well, I didn't know about that, but that's
You haven't gotten that far in the book yet.
I haven't got that far yet. But let me tell you something. 8 marriages makes it even more exciting.
Yeah, well, you know, that's what everybody says, and that's the thing that I'm pretty much ashamed of doing, you know.
Why? Well, no, I don't think you were ever sad. I don't think any man came up to your par, and that's the problem. You got bored with them.
Yeah, and I think I never married anyone in show business. Like, I was engaged to Mel Torme, and I wasn't really in love with him.
I know his son very well, James Torme. I know him very, very well. He's a
and then I dated Joe DiMaggio, and that didn't go.
Wasn't that Marilyn Monroe's husband?
Oh yes, he loved her until his death. I mean,
he did, didn't he?
Yeah, he blamed the Kennedys and Sinatra. He blamed a lot of people.
Yeah, they took her over with all the, I don't know, I'm not going to say anything, but whatever.
But anyway, he was a wonderful man, and we had a lot of fun. We drove all over Georgetown and Washington, D.C., looking for bottles of Dom Perignon, because
how fabulous. Out of all the men that you kind of dated and married, was he one of your favorite?
Yes. Well, I liked Mel's voice, but I wasn't in love with him. Then I dated Hank Thompson, the country western singer. I dated a lot of singers.
Well, you dated people in the business, though, didn't you?
Yeah, I only married one in the business, a comic, and that lasted a year.
And that, to your mind, was a year.
You know the old saying, looking for love in all the wrong places. That's me.
So are you married now, or are you with somebody now?
Yes, I'm married now. I've been married 42 years.
Wait a minute, 42 years? What?
1978. Is it 42 years? I was engaged to the Secretary Treasurer of the Teamsters Union, with whom I was madly in love.
You could have another movie just on your marriages.
Yes.
I mean, never mind your life. I mean, the marriages alone would make an incredible book.
Yeah. Well, one of them owned a very large drugstore in Tulsa, Oklahoma, and I belonged to 2 very, very expensive country clubs. And some of the men knew who I was, but the women didn't. So I kind of kept telling the men, "Oh, you're mistaken," you know.
There's no woman that will like you even now. At 85, there's no woman that will like you, because look how great you look. I guarantee they're still jealous of you. You go somewhere and they don't, what? Go ahead.
Yes, I want to give a toast. I want to raise my teacup with my English.
Oh, wow.
I want to raise a toast to April March, the First Lady of Burlesque. She's my friend, and your friend too, Ninon. And
she is now. I'm not letting her go.
No, I'm not letting the 2 of you go either, because we're the 3 Musketeers.
Her movie. We're going to drink to your movie deal.
That's right, and we're all going to be there. We're all going to be there for the
opening.
Grand opening.
There's a man I'm going to call in Los Angeles. I'm going to felt around. I'm going to be a little ferret.
Okay, that's good. Cheers.
Cheers. Cheers, and thank you.
So after doing all this, do you have any gigs coming up? I know, unfortunately, we got this virus going on.
Well, I'm the very first person that was ever invited I did a lecture and a book signing at the National Museum of Dance in Saratoga Springs. It's quite famous all over the world.
I have heard of it, yes.
I love doing first things, Ninon. I love being the first.
I can see that. I can see that.
Anyway.
You and Elizabeth Taylor.
I did that. It went over very well. And 2 weeks before the COVID, 2 weeks later, I was supposed to be the first person ever to teach a burlesque class in the Museum of Dance, and to show a little bit of film and to do a lecture and another book signing. So
Well,
I'm
you can
awaiting
still
that.
do that.
I'm awaiting that because
No, you can still do it.
yeah, that'll be history. But you know what I really
No, you can
want?
do it on the internet. You don't have to wait for the COVID to go over.
Well,
You've got
she hadn't contacted me yet because
Okay,
I think
you contact her, and you can actually do this on Zoom, like we're doing. You can do the same thing.
Can she get paid for it? Because she was going to charge.
Well, it'll be paid per view, and then it'll be paid. Then it'll be paid for people. There's a friend of mine doing exactly the same thing. Not burlesque. She's a violinist actually, and she plays the violin, very well known. And Michelle Jones, she's very well known, and she now has made a class on Zoom. I don't know if it's Zoom, but one of them. And people pay, and she teaches them, and she helps them because see how we're all together.
Right.
You can do exactly the same thing, exactly the same. You do it from your home, and you can teach them and tell them. In fact, it's easier than a class. And they all come on. Liz, AJ, how many people can come on for her to do a class?
You can have up to 48 people, I believe, on free on Zoom. But while I have the speaker, I just wanted to do a shout out to Georgette Dante and thank her for helping me and being my friend and being April and your friend Ninon.
Oh, she's amazing.
Yeah, Georgette she's a class act.
Without Georgette, nothing happens.
Yes,
right. Exactly.
Also,
but,
special shout out to Nicole Cerise hair jewelry that April is wearing. She's got a beautiful ornament, Swarovski crystals, I believe, genuine.
Yes.
And I just want to say hello, Nicole Cerise, and thank you for that. And also I want to mention hello, Brandon Scott, and a shout out to him, the Company Salon and Spa. Brandon, are you there? We want to say
right here.
Brandon.
Hi, Brandon.
Right here.
Where are you?
Hello.
Oh, there you are, Brandon. Hey,
Hello.
how you doing?
You look great, both of you.
I want to thank you, Brandon, for putting this all together and the hard work and everything. But I believe between all of us, it's definitely worth it for April, March. I mean,
It's my pleasure. It's an honor for this woman here. She's absolutely this legend. She's absolutely amazing. I'm so honored to even do her hair.
I'm honored to have my own granddaughter is a big time hairstylist, and my own granddaughter that does the jewels. Brandon does my hair.
That's amazing. Well,
Glad
Brandon,
to do it.
Well, I just want to thank you, and also AJ, thanks. So we all thank you for what you've done. And April is just this woman actually deserves it all, and this is the least we could probably do for her.
Yes, I also want to say, I hope, please forgive me for interjecting. I also want to say a shout out and thank you to Chris Valone Bush E.
Yes, Chris.
Did I say it correctly, Chris? Chris.
Hello.
Oh, hi, Chris.
This
nice to meet you.
This
Nice
lady
to meet
did
you
an
too. How are
article.
you?
This lady she's the editor of Simply Saratoga magazine and Brides magazine and 12 others besides these two. And we met, I was the first person in burlesque to ever grace her magazine. And so anyway, we became very good friends.
Isn't that wonderful?
Without her, this wouldn't have happened because I don't have a laptop.
Well, thank you so much, Chris. The only thing I know about Saratoga, and I probably don't like to say this, but I'm going to say it, is the racetrack. I was in Saratoga and I went to the racetrack because it's one of the most magnificent racetracks probably in the world and very well known at that. But
I live 5 minutes away.
Oh, you do? Wow.
Yep.
Do you ever go to the track?
Yes.
Oh, good for you. But Chris, you're amazing, and thank you for helping us, because without any of you, nothing happens. It just doesn't. So
it's my pleasure. Anything for April.
Well, we now got to get this movie going. So, okay, so Chris and April, let's do this. Let's see if we can get some advertisements in your magazine about her trying to get this movie together to get funding. I don't know how to do it, but maybe you could sort of think up a little something and we can put a little article in there and do something about this woman's book and what she's doing and how she's doing it. Let's get the ball rolling.
I love it. Great idea.
We put it out there, and then we put it on. We'll put it on our Facebook, and we'll put it on our Instagram. We'll get it as many places as possible, right, AJ?
Excellent.
Then also we can have Brandon Scott from the company Salon and Spa. Maybe he could have a poster up there in the salon. What do you think, Brandon? We've got about.
I love that idea. I absolutely love it.
Something I think if we all come together for this legend, because April, you are a legend. There's only one of you, and you're still around.
It's so true.
You're still performing. Hello.
Well, maybe she can do an article next time on my golf. I'm the only person that was ever in Sports Illustrated magazine.
Yeah, remember, you
Tell them all about it. It was nice meeting you guys.
Chris, take care. We're going to work on it.
Thank you, Chris.
Chris, thank you, Brandon. I do want to ask you, April, what is that beautiful poster you have there? Can you tell us a little bit about that? We've got about 3 minutes left.
The poster, well, I had those made up for my book signings too.
How old were you there?
It's kind of hard, like on the plane and everything, to carry all posters and this and that. But
how old were you there in the poster?
This was taken, let's see, I think I was 47 when that was taken.
Wow.
So,
some things never change.
Well, I hope it goes on for a while.
Well, we will with your tenacity.
It's such a pleasure to be on your show, Ninon.
Oh, absolutely.
You're,
as I was saying at the opening, this show,
I can't express my love and my thanks. But there's a lot more of April March that's going to be out there. So.
Oh, absolutely. We're going to make sure of that. We're going to get you out there. Everybody's going to start working on you and seeing where we can put you, how we can help you. And then also all of the staff and everybody, they could be the hairdresser on the movie and the whole bit. So there's a lot of things going on for everybody. AJ, what do you want to say?
I wanted to say, I want to do before I hang the old tassels up, I want to do another show with Jetador. Oh my God. I never did a show, Ninon, with anyone other than myself, And in 2015, I did an act with Jetador. And it brought the house down.
And would you like to do that again? When did you do the last
one? I'd love to do that again.
When did you do the last one?
Pardon?
When did you do the last one?
2015 with Jetador. That was the only one.
Okay, so it's not too far away.
2019, I performed in 2019. In fact, I performed this past January 18th, 19th. I took Brandon with me to Vermont and to a burlesque festival. And I usually go there. Brandon had a wonderful time because there were so many great burlesque acts. And that's where I met Michael Ziegfeld. We
could go on for hours, but unfortunately, April,
our time is up.
Yeah, I'm looking at the time, and I want to give a really incredible closeout. AJ, is there anything little, small, something you would like to say before we close out?
I just want to thank you. I'm so thankful and grateful. You're both such beautiful blessings. Brandon, Chris, all of you. Thank you, Ninon.
Absolutely. This is an amazing show because we get to meet people like this legend. She's absolutely wonderful. I also want to thank AJ because if it wasn't for AJ, we would not be having April on. We would not know Georgette. There's a lot of stuff going on. And because of AJ started looking at my shows, I have another show called Vegas Live with Ninon. And so this all started through that. And now we have our own show. It's absolutely amazing.
Oh, it is amazing.
It is amazing. It's amazing what happens when you reach out. And I reached out to AJ and I said, what do you want to do? And we're just talking and everything else. And I said, I have another show I do. And I said, would you like to sort of start up with that? And she said, I'd love that.